At first, I didn't quite understand this policy, as my perception of gun violence has always been to stop gun violence at whole. But this is a little more complex, as the argument for two hands means two guns still doesn't solve the problem of gun violence, which is the overall problem. The individual can still do damage with one gun, and this rule also limits people how many guns they can purchase at a time. However, this isn't about gun violence, it's about minimizing illegal transactions of guns and borrowed firearms. Like any purchasable item, guns can be bought in bulk and they can be distributed to just about anybody without a permit if you so wanted to illegally, but if legally, you would use a permit. This law doesn't necessarily stop all gun control, but it at least contains and minimalizes the guns getting into the wrong hands of people without the proper age or information. And most people only own one gun, so this doesn't really inhibit a lot of people who are using it for protective purposes. But this targets more of the illegal transactions. Even today, if you buy more than two guns, the U.S. law Shield.com states that the sale or deposition of two or more handheld guns must be reported to the ATF Home Inspection and the ATF local authorities. This policy of two hands, two guns is already kind of in place, but it would just be more concrete, which is pretty reasonable for anybody who is supporting background checks or supporting, like, the limitation of guns. So this would just be more of effect of stepping down a little harder on this rule. And this would keep guns from going into the wrong hands and keeping our streets a lot more safe than if we didn't have this policy. And this has even been shown with stricter gun rules that less deaths have happened due to the fact that there's just stricter gun rules, and it's a direct correlation. And I know this policy sounds a bit silly, but when you start to think about it and trying to make sure that everybody agrees with it, it does become a middle ground for a lot of people who may or may not support gun control.